My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm an associate real estate broker in the state of Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about today's video topic, which is the things about Alaska that surprise a lot of people as they're moving here. Not surprisingly, there are some things that surprise people here because there's a lot of caricatures, there's a lot of illusions as to what Alaska is like, and kind of created by reality TV and a lot of the kind of the clickbait YouTube stuff out there. And there's a lot of surprises with people when they get here and they realize, oh, it's not exactly what I expected. So we're going to be talking about that before we get started. You know what to do. Give this video a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs down if you want to. It helps me either way. And let the algorithm see that this channel is blessed. Now, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. One of the biggest things right off the bat that people realize when they move up here is that there is a lot more driving than what they're accustomed to. Down in the lower 48, you can usually get to where you're going within like a pretty short time frame. The towns are going to be fairly close to each other because, you know, they were built and then they kind of expand out. So it's really not going very far from town to town. A lot of places I visited in lower 48, you don't even realize you just went from one town and entered another. In Alaska, you are really going to realize this though. Like there's usually about a 20-30 minute minimum drive between towns. So just a lot of space with all of them. You're going to be doing a lot of driving. All right, now this next one, kind of a pet peeve of mine. I feel like we've moved past the igloo cliche, you know, where everyone thinks like, oh, you're from Alaska, you live in an igloo, you know, haha. I think we've gotten over that and we've just replaced it with the off-grid living cliche because that's what people are seeing online. It looks like we're all just mountain men just roughing it out here in the wilderness, just killing a bear every day for sustenance, and that is just not the reality for most people. And that's kind of a surprise for some people when they get here and they realize, oh, it's a small to medium-sized town with a great view. Okay. This next one usually isn't too much of a surprise, but thought I would bring it up anyway, and that is food and gas is usually significantly more expensive in Alaska than what you're going to find in most places in the lower 48. Take a look at how long of a transportation route it is getting stuff from the continental United States up to Alaska or from any other market over in the Pacific, and you'll see, okay, yeah, it is a long transportation route, so anything getting up here is going to be more expensive just getting it there. So yeah, it's going to be more expensive, so come financially prepared. Another surprise for a lot of people, and they think they're ready for it, and usually they're just not quite ready for it, and that is the presence of wildlife. So everyone thinks that they're ready for the wildlife, and oh, I'm just going to be able to have this special connection with this moose or with this bear. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You are not going to have a special connection with that moose or the bear. You should leave it alone. Yeah, so you get the wildlife there. Everyone thinks they're ready for it, but it's one thing to think it, it's another thing to see like the absolute behemoth size of like a moose as it's walking right down Main Street, just completely nonchalant, like it's in its own living room, which, I mean, I guess in its mind, it is. So yeah, wildlife is something that is definitely a surprise for people the first couple times they see it. One of the big surprises for a lot of people when they're living up here is they don't really appreciate that Alaska is not going to ask permission to be itself. In other words, you can just be minding your own business and then you have some kind of a big blizzard that just rolls right in, or you have an earthquake that just happens out of nowhere. Alaska is going to be pretty unapologetic about being herself, so just come expecting accordingly and you won't be too surprised. Now, before we go any further, let me go ahead and just take a quick checkpoint break here. We do have a relocation guide for those of you considering moving up here to Alaska. So if you want a copy of that, do go to the description section down below, register to my website, and put relocation guide in the comments section so I know what to send you. Now, let's go and finish today's video. Big surprise for a lot of people when they're moving up here is to find out the gender ratio is so lopsided. For most of the age groups that you're going to be dating, it is about 130 men to every 100 women. If you're not coming up here with wife, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, partner, yeah, it could be an uphill battle, just so you know. Another thing to keep in mind is work in Alaska feels like it takes so much longer than it does in the lower 48. A big reason for that, again, is just how long it takes to get supplies up here, because we're so distant that any big projects you're doing, like renovations, countertops, cabinets, blah, 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 all that good stuff, getting that stuff up here from the lower 48 is going to take so much longer than what it does in the lower 48. So any work that you do with a contractor, it's going to take longer. I don't know why I said with a contractor. Any work you do is going to take longer. One of the big surprises for a lot of people in their first winter and their first summer is how short the winter days are and how long the summer days are. You know, you think you understand what it's like to have only like a handful of good sunlight hours of the day, and it's another thing to be right in the middle of it in December where the days are only like what? I think it's like 5-6 hours, something like that. Like it's not very much. We'll say about 6 or 7 hours, and then during the summertime, like it is up around the clock. It gets a little dusky around 2 or 3 a.m., but for the most part, it's sunlight all the time. And that's tough to get used to. We pay more at the gas pump than most other people do in whatever state it is that they're living in. And I feel like that's kind of an injustice because we do produce a lot of oil up here, but unfortunately the oil has to go get refined somewhere else. And by the time it gets back up here to us, it's more expensive. So yeah, kind of a surprise, but yeah, we do pay more gas up here than you would expect for being the state that produces so much. Last but not least, you would think we would have more clarity ahead of time as to how much money we're going to be getting from the PFD, but the exact amount and how much we're going to get just fluctuates all the time. It feels like, I'm sure you can watch some websites and they'll come out with like different numbers and like as it's emerging, different calculations that are going on, but it feels like it is just constantly up and down. And for something that's such a hot button topic in Alaska, you would feel like we would have more precise number further ahead of schedule, but no, that just kind of is what it is. But this has been my video talking about the surprises people have as they're moving to Alaska. If you're considering doing anything real estate wise with moving up here, do feel free to reach out to me on my website. A link for that is in the description section down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.